rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. I am your host, Rick. Well, man, we have had a bunch of information come out and a bunch of things that have shown up, but the main thing is that, well, the Democrats just want to keep playing with fire. Yes, they do. They just want to keep playing with fire. They don't seem to understand that they are not in a very good position right now. And in fact, there are so many things and so many different people that are out there. I got the whole plethora. We could basically call this episode the League of Morons. We really could. But anyway. And I also have a pet of the week. I got 2 submissions thanks to my call. And yes, they are a couple of updated ones. I mean, both of them were pets of the week in previous episodes. But unfortunately, I got to go with first in, first out policy. And one came in just under the wire before the other one did. So that's okay, though, because that means I've got next week. So that is fantastic. I've got 2 weeks now of pets. So there we go. We're going to have a pet of the week at the end of the night. And we'll go on from there. All right. Let's go ahead and get things kicked off tonight. We have Kat Pekarik. Kat Pekarik is on deck for the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you are of mine, please stand, remove your hat if you're wearing one like me. Place your hand over your heart and place your hand over your heart and follow along with me as she recites. Follow along with her as she recites the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This land is your land, America the beautiful. God bless America.
All right, and of course, I thank you, Kat, for that wonderful rendition of the pledge. If you would like to hear your rendition of the pledge played here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself reciting or performing the pledge in your style. Take that audio file, video file, whatever kind of file, and attach it to an email. Address that email to me by sending it to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online, and I will get you into the rotation. I've got 21 of these. I'd like to get 26 by the end of 2026. 5 doesn't seem that hard to reach. So if you haven't done yours, please do so by sending it in. And by the way, if you end up with an audio file or video file that is too large to email, try uploading it to one of the free sites, whether it's Box or Dropbox or Google Drive or any of those, and all of them will allow you to paste a link. You can send that link to me, and I'll be able to download it and get things going for you. Also, too, let's see, if you do it on your phone, you can use the share option, S-H-A-R-E option, and you'll be able to get it sent in that way, because that will allow you to send it to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. All right. Today, of course, is...
Down to business.
That's the nectar of the gods, baby.
That's right. It's Whiskey Wednesday. It's like Taco Tuesday, but for badasses. And on Whiskey Wednesday, I always drink from the True Grit Roots Network glass. Look at that fantastic red, white, and blue logo. I love it. And what's in the True Grit Roots Network glass tonight is Buffalo Trace. We have Buffalo Trace Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey in here and in the glass. And you can see at the bottom of the glass is the requisite stones because, of course, it takes stones to drink with whiskey. Hey, here we go. Requisite first sip. Oh, yes. That is smooth. Anyway. All right, and because it is TGRN Wednesdays, I think that should be the new thing. And not necessarily usurping Whiskey Wednesday, but TGRN Whiskey Wednesday. Oh, there we go. TGRN Whiskey Wednesday. I like that. Anyway, since we are in TGRN mode, here we go. Go to tgrn.net. That's tgrn.net. Now, many people are wondering, what the heck is TGRN? True Grit Roots Network. We are a online digital radio station. You can come and check out our 2 channels. We have Walter Trout Blues Rock Radio, which, by the way, I think yesterday was the first year anniversary of Walter Trout Blues Rock Radio. And we also have Dallas Moore Outlaw Radio. You can go and listen to either one of them in your browser just by heading off to tgrn.net and then hitting those play buttons right there in those 2 black widgets that you see on the screen. And you can go and play our music through your browser. Or, if you would like, and we would appreciate, you can go and download our app for both of them. One of them, basically pick one or pick both. Download both of them and then make your own choice to choose which one to listen to. And then what you can do is you can download it from the App Store and Google Play. By the way, I think the App Store one just updated. So if you haven't updated your App Store yet, please do so. But you go and download from either the App Store or Google Play, and you'll be able to get one or both of Walter Trout Blues Rock Radio or Dallas Moore Outlaw Radio. Now, if you want to show your appreciation even further, you can head on to the very top. You can see right there to the left of my closed captioning, at the very top menu item, you'll see I'm flashing it. It is called Shop. And if you click that, you will go to our online store at shop.tgrn.net. And you will be able to pick up some swag. We've got t-shirts, hoodies, and caps. All with logos, either the True Grit Roots Network logo, the Dallas Moore Outlaw Radio logo, and the Walter Trout Blues Rock Radio logo. You can grab any of those. They've got them in a variety of colors, styles, and to choose from. I also know that there is more coming. There is more coming. My business partner and friends have been working diligently in the background to come up with some stuff. So it's really some great stuff. I personally am a fan of the black TGRN t-shirt or the black TGRN hoodie. Those are my fan favorites, but to each his own. Go and pick those up at shop.tgrn.net, and also make sure that you go and take a listen to our channels, either Walter Trout Blues Rock Radio or Dallas Moore Outlaw Radio, and make sure you download one or both for all of that. So go and check all of that out, and keep your eye open on the shop for that new stuff that's coming out. So, and there we go. And I know True Grit Roots Network, TGRN.net, is based out of Austin, Texas. And we definitely appreciate your support. All right. Well, let's kind of start off this little story. And by that, I mean this program story. So as you know, yesterday, I mentioned that Tom Homan got sent to Minnesota. And Tom Homan met with Minnesota officials to discuss immigration operation tensions. Now, one of the things about this is that coming out of it, well, you get different sides to the story. Now, Tom Homan and Donald Trump, just like with the Donald Trump phone calls with both Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, or Fry, whatever it is. Anyway, he met with them, and he comes out of the meeting, and he's like, you know what? I had a great meeting. I met with both of them and top law enforcement officials to discuss issues on the ground in Minnesota. We all agree that we need to support our law enforcement officers and get criminals off the streets. While we don't agree on everything, these meetings were a productive starting point, and I look forward to more conversations with key stakeholders in the days ahead. He also added that Trump emphasized that he wants American cities to be safe and secure for law-abiding residents, and they will be. Well, following that meeting, Walz, of course, reiterated the need for impartial investigations into the recent shootings. Now, I don't know if anybody realizes this, but Tom Homan actually did say, after both of them did say exactly that. We need to have an investigation. We need to understand what's going on. We need to, get all the facts. We need to collect the evidence, so on and so forth. And he basically was like, all right, we need time. Well, Walz's office finished off the claim or the request, and he goes, well, the governor and Homan agreed on the need for an ongoing dialogue, and will continue to working toward those goals, which the president also agreed to. Okay. Now, Frey, whatever, said that he and the Minneapolis police chief, Brian O'Hara, had a productive conversation. He was like, he says, I reiterated my main ask is for Operation Metro Search to end as quickly as possible. He goes, public safety works when it's built on community trust, not tactics that create fear. He goes, I shared with Tom Homan the serious negative impacts this operation has had on Minneapolis and surrounding communities, as well as the strain it has placed on our police officers. I don't know how he's talking about the strain of the local police officers, because they're not doing anything. The local police officers aren't helping it. And Fry, whatever, said exactly that. I don't get this. I really don't. He also, according to his ex post afterward, he says, yeah, I'm making it clear that Minneapolis does not and will not enforce federal immigration laws. What? See, Fry doesn't seem to quite understand this, okay? He doesn't seem to quite understand how this works. You're supposed to enforce federal law. You are. You're supposed to enforce federal immigration law. You're supposed to help by when you identify somebody, you call ICE. It's because of your lack of enforcing federal immigration law and just releasing these criminals back into public life without calling ICE is where we got into this problem in the first damn place. 2 steps forward, 4 steps back. And that's exactly the way that they're doing this. See, these people don't seem to get it. There is this thing known as the Supremacy Clause of the United States in the Constitution. They also need to understand that the laws themselves are 100% in the purview of the federal government. You may not agree with them, but as Ronald Reagan so famously once said, that doesn't give you the right to pick and choose which law you're going to follow or not. Well, that brought the ire of the president. And the president posted on Truth Social, he goes, surprisingly, Mayor Fry just stated that Minneapolis does not and will not enforce federal immigration laws. This is after having a very good conversation with him. Could somebody in his inner sanctum please explain that this statement is a very serious violation of the law and that he is playing with fire? Now, I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm going to tell you this, and I've gotten into discussions with others on Facebook and everything else. All of these idiots are basically saying, no, the states don't have to enforce it. Really? So you're telling me that the states didn't have to enforce the laws, federal laws, period? They don't have to enforce any federal law whatsoever, because that's essentially the tone that they're taking. Well, they don't need to enforce these laws. Okay. So states don't need to enforce, Title IX. States don't need to enforce equal opportunity. States don't need to enforce things like, the First Amendment of the United States. Because all of that is part of federal law. Every single one of them. Oh, yeah, let's see. Good point. Nana of JJS, one of my unofficial producers, points out, there's women voting, freeing the slaves. All of that stuff was done under federal law. Okay. Yeah, they don't need to enforce federal law. Sure they do. What do you think happens when the Insurrection Act gets invoked? If states do not need to enforce federal law, period, then how do they get called out for insurrection? It's just a simple question. How is it that Little Rock happened? How is it that, the riots in I think it was Georgia, in Atlanta? How is it that you had, the riots of 1992. Yeah. See, the Insurrection Act is very clear. It basically states that when states and local governments either cannot or refuse. Oh, hell, if they're not supposed to enforce federal law, then they can't refuse to enforce federal law. I mean, this is the intelligence level that these people don't seem to understand. If they don't need to enforce federal law, then why do we even have a federal government? Why do we even have federal laws? Who do they think is going to enforce federal law at a local level? Yeah. Anyway. That's why I call them complete, utter, stupid morons. So Trump, basically, in terms of his statement, he views Frey's stance as a direct challenge that could trigger escalated federal responses. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that at all. Now, he doubled down. He doubled down on top of it. Because he's like, our job the job of our police is to keep people safe, not enforce federal immigration laws. And he basically quote tweeted Donald Trump. And he goes, I want them preventing homicides. not hunting down a working dad who contributes to MPLS and is from Ecuador. Yeah, except, well, there's only one problem. Right now, ICE is going after people who are violent criminals, who are performing homicides. Ugh. My gosh, these people, they're just, this is an intellectual disconnect. This is literally cognitive dissonance that runs rampant within the left. Because again, as I point out, how are you, I mean, federal immigration law is the same as every other federal law that's on the books. So you're telling me, Jacob Frey, that you'll not support, because you're not supporting federal immigration law, you'll also not support the fact that, oh, I don't know, heroin is illegal, meth is illegal. Yeah, you know, at the federal level. Yeah. Yeah. Just, these people, they're just so damn stupid. They really are. They really are. Now, here's another one of the, FAFO types. Apparently, there was this nurse. And she decided to post on, I don't know where, but Libs of TikTok picked it up. And Libs of TikTok shared a compilation of videos allegedly from the same nurse. She posted several videos, and in those videos, she was encouraging poisoning and drugging of ICE agents. Yeah. So, really? With a quote, one of the videos, apparently, she said, "Make their lives effing miserable." Now, I saw one of these. She was talking about a mild paralytic. Acetylcholine or something. I don't know. Anyway, the nurse, Cook, reportedly worked for the Virginia Commonwealth University Medical Center. And the nurse apparently states in her first video, she's like, "I thought of something good. Sabotage tactic, or at least scare tactic. All of the medical providers grab some syringes with needles on the end, have them full of saline or succinylcholine or whatever, she says. That will probably be a deterrent. Be safe." Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now, the thing that she calls out, the succinylcholine or whatever it is, anyway, I can't even pronounce it. You know those medical terms. You have a hard time pronouncing them. But anyway, that happens to be a muscle relaxant that is used as a local anesthetic, and it causes short-term paralysis. In another video, she seemingly tells viewers, for today's resistance tip, I vote, anybody got poison ivy, poison oak in their yard? Get some of that with gloves, obviously. Get some in water. She then describes soaking poison ivy and oak in a gallon of water, putting the tainted water in a water gun. And she goes, aim for faces and hands. Really? Really? In another video, she suggests that single women should use dating apps to set up dates with ICE agents. She goes, bring some X-Lax and put it in their drinks. Get them sick, you know? Nobody's going to die, just enough to incapacitate them. Get them off the street for the next day. Highly easily deniable. You know, you could get sucked too. Won't eat there again. I'm just saying, let's get them where they eat. Really? Really? What the hell are these people doing? And she says, hey, anything that you can do to make their living conditions bad. She also apparently suggests hiding dead fish in the hotel rooms. She goes, just stay toxic. Well, apparently, the VCU Health released a statement yesterday announcing that that healthcare worker has been placed on administrative leave while an investigation was underway. The statement read, "We prioritized the health and safety of anyone who comes to us for care. We are aware of a series of videos that appear to have been posted by an individual confirmed to be an employee of our health system. The contents of the video is highly inappropriate and does not reflect the integrity or values of our health system." And then later that same day, they stated that they had terminated the individual's employment. Yeah. The statement came out and said, "Following an investigation, the individual involved in the social media videos is no longer employed by VCU Health. In addition, VCU Health has fulfilled its reporting requirements under Virginia state law." Apparently, this person was listed on their website and has now since been removed. Yeah. Yeah. Folks, don't play around with stuff like this. I mean, seriously, come on. This is so stupid. This is so dumb. And I'm just going to point out, too, that regardless of which side that you're on, okay, regardless of which side you are on, do not, under any circumstances, assault any person, but especially don't do it on camera, and especially don't do it to a political figure. That's not what we do in America. We can have arguments and disagreements with people. We can argue and disagree with a whole bunch of other folks. I mean, you can argue and disagree all day long, but when you take it to a level of doing something physically toward another person, that is completely wrong. Completely wrong. And I've got a story about Ilhan Omar. And what's strange is I'm actually defending Ilhan Omar in this case, but sort of. But before I get to that, let me tell you about this wonderful thing called the Rumble Premium. So you've probably noticed that Rumble is growing fast and it's not slowing down. I mean, I've hit 800 shows. I'm over 800 shows. A Whiskey Warrior P1 of mine just did her 200th episode today. That was Outlaw Dogs. She did her 200th episode today. So, and it's all being done on Rumble. So as you can tell, Rumble is growing fast. Okay. Now, Rumble is building a big alternative, a real alternative to the big tech that puts creators first and actually protects free speech. And now there's this thing called Rumble Premium, which is an easy way to upgrade your experience. With Premium, you get ad-free viewing across the platform. No pre-rolls, no interruptions, just the content that you came for, like this show. Plus, Premium members unlock exclusive content like bonus videos, behind-the-scenes drops, and more from your favorite creators. Right now, Rumble is offering $10 off their annual subscription for Rumble Premium. All you need to do is go to rumble.com/premium. That's rumble.com/premium. And use the promo code STUDIO at checkout to get that $10 off that annual subscription. That's rumble.com/premium, promo code STUDIO, STUDIO. Now, that / by the way, is a question mark key on your keyboard. All right? Now, no more ads, more freedom in the content that you actually care about. That's the deal. Go to rumble.com/premium, promo code STUDIO to get $10 off that annual subscription. Rumble.com/premium, promo code STUDIO. And I thank Rumble for allowing us to have this kind of a platform. This is just great. All right. So apparently Ilhan Omar was at a town hall event. Now, keep in mind, I personally, whatever I think of Ilhan Omar doesn't really matter. You as a individual, because again, I'm just going to point this out. as an individual, you do not have the right to go and assault anyone. All right. You don't have the right to go and assault anyone. Well, that's unfortunately what this guy, who appears to be a disheveled, sort of potentially deranged individual, does to Ilhan Omar. And here's kind of an angle. We're going to take a look at this. Here's an angle of the attack. Now, the guy is in the front row on the right-hand side, okay, of the screen. And she's at a podium, and she's giving a speech.
Secretary Kristi Noem must resign or face impeachment.
Oh, there he is. Okay, so I'm gonna back this up because it happened so quickly that people don't seem to get it. Right here. All right, right here. You can just see right above my head in the video, right above my head, you can see this guy. He has a hand. You can just see the hand coming in. And you can see a stream of what appears to be some sort of a liquid coming out from his hand. And as I step forward here, he squirts that, I don't know, once or twice. And now he's still coming up, and he's, yelling at her, pointing a finger at her. And finally, you can see the security guard comes in and grabs him. Now she runs right up to him. And, yeah. Now, there are some people who were there who described the liquid as smelling like vinegar and that it was a yellowish liquid. So anyway, this guy, he continues on, and the security guy takes him down and so on and so forth. Apparently, whatever that was, it didn't bother Ilhan Omar that much because she went ahead and just went back and immediately started speaking again. Now, I'm not going to continue and play this because let's just face it, it's kind of Ilhan Omar. Now the crowd applauded right before. Now, first of all, there's a few things that are sort of questionable. Now, keep in mind, okay, I'm just going to point this out. We don't have all the details yet. All right. We don't have all the details yet. Hold on your thoughts. Hold them. Hold. All right. And the reason why I'm saying that is because there is a few questions in terms of this. Trump actually, being Trump, he went ahead and called it out. He's like, you know what? She probably had herself sprayed. It would be kind of an interesting thing. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. That particular narrative, I'm just going to say, okay, let's kind of wait until we see some more evidence come out. For an example, like this whole thing about Preddy being a ICU nurse and all this other stuff. There's new information that's coming out. I don't know how true it is, but there's new information that's coming out that he actually left his job months ago. So the mainstream media trying to make him out to be some sort of this innocent nurse is a bit of a fallacy. We also heard yesterday, just as an example, we heard yesterday that he had an incident earlier that had caused him to get tackled and his one of his ribs broken. Well, here's the thing. Is that the incident that led up to him being tackled, he walks up to a vehicle. There's a video that's been released by the BBC where he reportedly walks up to a nice vehicle and busts one of the rear tail lights out, kicks it, and breaks it. So, yeah. Anyway, get back to the Ilhan Omar incident. All right, we need to wait until some more information comes available. But all of that being said, first of all, there are some questions with regards to this entire incident. First of all, how did the guy end up in the front row? Second, why, when the guy stood up in the middle of her speech, why did the security guards not at least somewhat react? Because you'll notice in the video that I just played, the security guard is like several rows back and standing up against the wall rather than being closer to her, number one. And number two, he doesn't even react when the man stands up. Most people don't stand up in the middle of a speech. And definitely, as the man is taking a few steps forward, the security guard doesn't even move. Now, I don't know about you, but if I'm a security guard and I see somebody who is stepping forward to my protectee, I'm certainly not going to wait for that person to get all the way up as close as they did to the podium. Now, granted, there's probably only about 3 or 4 steps, but the fact of the matter is the guy does not react. The security guard does not react until after the liquid is sprayed and the man is starting to point and yell at her. Now, there's another thing that's sort of questionable. She apparently didn't even flinch. And I don't know about you, but if somebody comes up and sprays me, even with water, I'm going to react in some way. I'm either going to turn my head, I'm going to duck, I'm going to put my hands in front of my face. It is an instinctual reaction. She did not do that. And again, I'm just pointing out these are some inconsistencies, incongruencies, such as when you had the hoaxes from UC Smollett, there were some questions with regards to it. And especially in today's day and age, we just have to sit here and we got a question. Because we cannot sit here and just assume that everything, we're not the Me Too movement anymore, okay? You have to have verifiable facts and evidence in order for everything to come into play. Now, here is a video, and this is another question that they sort of have in this. Here's an angle of a video that apparently this guy had video camera on him at the same, right there.
For Congresswoman Omar's staff who's here. Hi, everyone. I'm Hennepin.
So they get a good shot of him being there. So, now here's a different angle. So,
abolishment of the agency. ICE cannot be reformed. It cannot be rehabilitated. We must abolish ICE for good. And DHS Secretary Kristi Noem must resign or face impeachment.
Yeah, see, I'm sorry. There is absolutely no way. How many seconds is this? So we're going to go from right about here, right here. And by the way, let's take a look right before this because I've got some people. Okay, so she appears to be looking in his direction, in this guy's direction, right here. Okay. And so at that point, he stands up or gets ready to stand up. Now, right here, if I were the security guard, I'd be moving. So let's count seconds here. I'd be reacting at least. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here he is. Yeah, he's about 3 steps away from her. So there's 6 seconds. He's already sprayed the liquid. 7, 8. He's 9. There's 10 seconds. And finally, you can see the security guard on the far left of your screen. Far left on your screen. And he's finally moving. That's about 6 seconds, 8 seconds of movement where this guy gets up. You can see he's targeted on her. And there he goes. There's where the liquid starts to get deployed. She's not even flinching at this point. She's got her head down. She's not even flinching at this point until right about there. But now she's turned. I mean, it's too late. The liquid's already on her. So, yeah. And then this guy comes in from nowhere. Now, if I were the security guard, I would have been a lot closer to her. I really would. Now, she, continues. She obviously doesn't feel like she's in any kind of danger because she moved forward. Okay. And attacked the guy, called him a effing a-hole and all this other stuff. So, I don't know. It's entirely possible that this is not staged. And apparently this guy, they've gotten some information about this guy, but apparently this guy is, let's see, where was that? There's the man, there was an update. Here we go. So it appears the man was holding a syringe with a white or yellow liquid inside, smelled strongly of vinegar. He was booked into Hennepin County Jail for third-degree assault. They have identified him, and supposedly they've looked up his social media accounts, and he all of a sudden changed his profile pictures, had Trump at one point, and then had Erica Kirk as another. But this guy apparently has been arrested for, I think, DUI. He's never been arrested for anything in terms of attacks on it. Yeah. So there's just a lot of questions here with regards to this entire thing. So, again, I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm not jumping into that camp, but I'm also not jumping into the camp of that it was totally staged either until we get some more details with regards to all of this. So one of the person, of course, talks about her not flinching. And he's like, either A, she doesn't have the self-preservation instincts accompanying being sprayed with a smelly substance, such as getting a doctor to check it out, or even as simple as like washing it off, or she staged it. So, yeah. Anyway, if I were sprayed with some unknown substance, I would be a little bit more concerned, at least in the beginning. So, yeah. Anyway. So yeah, there's just a few questions that I think we have with regards to this thing. I don't know. Well, for all the talk that Ilhan Omar says that this whole thing is, Donald Trump going after her, Donald Trump's attacking her because she dares to stand up to power. There's only one problem. The House Oversight Committee announced last week, after it had opened an investigation into Ilhan Omar, that now we come to find out that into her wealth, we now come to find out that, well, yeah, but the Biden DOJ was looking into her as well. Because they thought that there was something fishy with her finances. Now, the Biden DOJ started investigating Ilhan Omar in 2024 over her finances, campaign spending, ties to a foreign national. And this was out of the New York Times as well. So, this isn't an attack from Trump, folks. This is a follow-up to what is apparently a big question, in terms of what's going on with, Ilhan Omar's finances and where she's getting all of her money. Yeah. Anyway. So the inquiry, by the way, into Ilhan Omar under the Biden administration was initiated by the U.S. Attorney's Office in Washington and the department's Public Integrity Unit in June of 2024 and appears to have stalled for what they considered lack of evidence, according to one of the people who requested anonymity to discuss the internal department matters. So anyway, so it looks like this is not just, regardless of what the leftist and Ilhan Omar herself say, this is not just because Trump wants to get her. Okay. Now, Tim Walz. Yes, I started off with Jacob Frey. Now Tim Walz, I got to tell you, Tim Walz has got to, he's, I almost kind of wonder if he's a bit, not like actually bipolar, but in terms of his personalities, he hasn't quite figured out which one he wants to be. He hasn't quite figured out if he wants to be the one that agrees with the fact that tampons can be shoved in a guy's butt and that you can consider that to be that they're a woman. He's trying to figure out if he's the soft-spoken, everybody likes me kind of thing, or if he wants to be the badass, strongman, bully type who goes around and wants to, quote, beat the S out of everybody, in particular, J.D. Vance. So, he apparently was on some sort of I don't know if he was on some sort of a interview or whatever. No, he was on the Bulwark podcast, and he was on an interview with this guy. And, well, let's just basically say that, he apparently reached out and said, and got into a rant, was lying his way through the discussion, which he portrays himself as a defender of truth, justice, and the Somali way. Notice I said not the American way, but the Somali way. And so anyway, he this episode, which is entitled "The Assault on Minnesota," inside the interview, Walz basically said, when he was questioned about the debate that he and J.D. Vance had, he goes, "I would beat the S out of him now if I could." Really? You got trounced in that vice presidential debate. J.D. Vance walked around you, and, basically you were sitting there in slow motion. It's sort of like, in a way, The Flash trying to get hit by somebody. Anyway. Oh, yeah, Walz. Oh, my gosh. He just can't quite figure out whether he is a strong-arm leader or a soft, touchy-feely leader or whatever. I don't know. So, yeah. And of course, these people are going to continue to give him leeway in all of this. Here, let's just take a look at the short little clip that they have here. The Bulwark posted this, so I have no idea what this is going to go, but
I would beat the shit out of him now if I could, and I would call that out. I mean, that's just different. In verbally going at it, my argument is much better. In making the case that housing prices are up because of immigration and that we should build on federal lands, it was such a crazy thing. But then when I watched him, I got sucked into that. And if you remember, this was right in that moment of eating dogs and cats. I took that bait and thought that that was the argument of how outrageous it was. That was not the argument.
And he said that your comps are like.
Yeah, so there you go. Anyway, don't ever watch this Bulwark thing. I'm just saying. This guy, these people are idiots. Anyway, all right. Like I said, Tim Walz, another one. Well, we also have, this makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. This makes no sense to me whatsoever. Okay? If you are a AG or somebody in the law, okay? And especially when you're in a city that honestly doesn't have very much in the way of interactions, operations, or anything like that, to basically fall. I gotta get the feeling that this guy is just looking for his 15 minutes of fame. He's seeing Minnesota, and he's seeing A.G. Ellison, and who, by the way, also reiterated Jacob Frey's statement and Tim Walz's statement about no, we're not going to enforce federal immigration law, even though we're required to by the Constitution. But anyway, we're not going to enforce that. Well, I guess Philadelphia's Democratic District Attorney Larry Krasner decided that he wanted to throw his hat in the ring for being the stupid moron of the day. And, well, this is why. Oh, my God.
This is a small bunch of wannabe Nazis. That's what they are. In a country of 350 million, we outnumber them. If we have to hunt you down the way they hunted down Nazis for decades, we will find your identities. We will find you. We will achieve justice. And
like I said, I think he's looking for his 15 minutes of fame. He sees what's happening over in Minnesota, and he's like, I gotta do it. Seriously, hunt him down? Hunt down ICE agents? Give me a freaking break. They are enforcing already long established. Leftist, I don't think you really realize this. But Billy Boy Clinton is the one that created or that signed this law, the current immigration law that we're trying to enforce right now. He's the one that created all of this. He's the one that created the warrantless ability to deport people. He created all of it. Well, him and his Democrat colleagues in Congress. See, folks, this has already been pre-established. This has been established for a very long time. Clinton signed it into law. Bush did it. Obama did it. Trump won, did it. And yet, it isn't until Biden decides to throw the rule book out, which, by the way, is against the Constitution because he is, by his swearing-in oath, to faithfully execute the laws of the United States. He was required to execute immigration law. Yeah. Anyway, Krasner is a complete dumbass. And some people are starting to point this out. They're pointing out the things that, anybody that calls you a Nazi, all right, there's a reason why they do it. First of all, they're losing the argument. Okay, that's calling you a Nazi and a racist and a homophobe or a Islamophobe or a phobophobe or whatever kind. That's all ad hominem. Okay, that is all ad hominem. Now, me, on the other hand, when I call you a complete, utter, stupid moron, that's not ad hominem. That's just simply stating a fact. But all of that being said, the idea here is to demonize ICE, to demonize the ICE officers so that they can get public opinion behind, because you have enough brainwashed, stupid idiots that are out there. Enough brainwashed, stupid idiots that are out there that are essentially, they're looking for trouble. They're looking for this. They're looking for these people. They're looking for something to fight. because they're brainwashed, stupid idiots. They don't have a life otherwise. It's sort of like that one person who, no matter what happens, has to complain about everything. They cannot be happy unless they're complaining. Yeah. Anyway. Oh, and Jarhead 13 points out a really good point. You know Tom Homan? Tom Homan was Obama's immigration guy. In fact, Obama gave Tom Homan a medal for getting rid of the illegal aliens. I'm telling you, these people, they are so dumb and they're so brainwashed. Anyway. Yeah, so apparently this guy in Philadelphia, he's planning on going after these people. And by the way, it's not just him, too, I just want to say, because apparently the city's Democrat sheriff went viral just a few weeks ago telling ICE agents that they don't want this smoke. Remember that? You remember that girl? She was the woman. She was sitting there. Oh, well, here, let me just let me just bring this up. Oh, here it is. It's right here. Okay.
And smoke means you will get arrested, you will get prosecuted, you will go to jail. So when I say you don't want this smoke, it's you don't want those problems. And so when I say it to those that come in this city, and if they commit a crime, because, conveniently, all of them are leaving out the word crime.
Okay, so I just got to point this out, all right? She's sitting here talking about how they're going to go and they're going to arrest ICE agents for breaking laws in their state. I hate to tell you this there, police chief, sheriff, whatever your freaking name is, whatever your position is. There's this thing in the Constitution. It's the same thing that tells you that you have to enforce federal law. It's known as the Supremacy Clause. And you know what else the Supremacy Clause basically states? It states that if federal law and state law are in confliction with each other, well, guess what? Federal law trumps state law. And no, I'm not talking about Donald Trump, although that is a cute little tongue-in-cheek. But federal law supersedes state law when the two are conflicting. This is why the whole sanctuary cities and sanctuary states idea gets thrown out the window. That's right. It gets thrown out the window because of the plain and simple fact that if it's in conflict with federal law supersedes it. Let me just show you. Let's see what we can do here. Yeah. Here we go. Make sure. Excuse me. Oh, I gotta take a drink. Hold on. Oh, here we go. Let me show you. There it is. Supremacy Clause. The Supremacy Clause refers to the foundational principle that, in general, federal law takes precedence over any conflicting state law. There you go. There you go, right there. The Supremacy Clause also underpins the broader doctrine of preemption, where if laws are in conflict, the law with the higher authority can preempt the law of a lower authority if the superiority of the former is stated expressly or implied. So, yeah. Now, there is one thing that does sort of supersede the supremacy clause, and that happens to be the 10th Amendment of the United States. And this, I think a lot of people don't seem to quite understand what the 10th Amendment actually says. So let me go ahead and do this so that we can talk about this. I wasn't prepared for this particular part of the discussion, but we'll go ahead and just do it anyway. I hope I spelled that right. Yeah, I think I did. All right. So let's see what this is. Yeah, here. It's very simple, very easy for people to understand, or at least they should. And it basically states this: the power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or the people. So here's the thing. Basically what this says is that if it's not in the Constitution as a specific requirement of the federal government, nor is it prohibited by the Constitution to be a state issue, then everything is a state issue. Now, here's the thing. Creating the laws on immigration constitute that's the federal government's responsibility. But it doesn't usurp the idea that the states are supposed to follow and enforce that law. See, the 10th Amendment doesn't have anything to do with whether or not the laws to be enforced, whether there is a clear-cut split, because again, remember, none of the states can have anything to do with immigration law. None of them. And they are supposed to work in tandem with law enforcement, federal law enforcement, to enforce federal law. That's what they're supposed to do. So this is, again, this whole conversation about, oh, the states, you know, the number of times that states have actually gone after federal agents, realistically, it's failed quite a bit. Because it's very, very difficult to not only prove the case, but also it's very, very difficult to be able to say that, well, yeah, they committed murder here when they were doing their federal job. So it's really kind of hard. I mean, that's an example. That's an extreme example in this particular case. But they were doing their job. And again, the federal law basically states that if a officer has a reasonable belief that they are in mortal danger, then absolutely. It doesn't even have to be like the individual or the victim doesn't even have to make physical contact with the officer. As long as the officer is under the reasonable belief that they were in trouble or somebody else who was part of their law enforcement or even the general public. That's all it takes for use of deadly force to be tossed in there. So, yeah. Anyway. Oh, these people in Philly, yeah, they're just about as dumb as everybody in Minnesota. I don't know why. Must be something about the water over there. I don't know, maybe the east of the Rockies, there's a lot of water problems up in the north that cause these people to go absolutely nuts. Yeah. You think that it's just them? Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, here's another. Now, this is a Democratic candidate. This guy doesn't even have office yet. But this is a Democratic candidate for the office of Ohio Attorney General. Now, you know, I just got to ask, where did these lawyers who are supposed to be some of the smartest people on the planet, because they can go and they can spend, 7 years in law school and they have to pass this huge ass test known as the bar, which is pretty much, for the most part, pretty much just rote memorization. I mean, let's be honest here. But still, there's supposed to be some of the smarter people in our country. Why is it that it's all the lawyers? Because many politicians are lawyers too. Why are all these people like all screwed up? I mean, I understand it's the indoctrination of the education system. I get it. Don't hang me for that. But yeah. Anyway, this guy is another peach. He's playing with fire too. Let's take a listen to what this guy has to say.
Hi, this is Elliot Forehand, candidate for Ohio Attorney General. I want to tell you what I mean when I say that I am going to kill Donald Trump. I mean, I'm going to obtain a conviction rendered by a jury of his peers.
Okay, wait a minute. That's not what the term killed means. He's trying to say that he's going to convict him. He's going to put him in jail. He's going to do where? How in the hell are you even as the Democrat AG for Ohio going to be able to, one, get your hands on the man, two, charge him for what? He's not even in your state. Oh my God. Okay, I'm going to back this up just a little bit because I want to like fully understand what this. What a dumbass. Anyway, here we go. Oh, I screwed it up because I backed it up. So hold on. Give it a second here. It'll catch up, I hope. If not, I'll just reload it. Yeah, my impatience is coming into play. So here we go. I'm just going to reload the page. We'll play it from the start.
Hi, this is Elliot Forehand, candidate for Ohio Attorney General. I want to tell you what I mean when I say that I am going to kill Donald Trump. I mean, I'm going to obtain a conviction rendered by a jury of his peers at a standard of proof beyond a reasonable doubt, based on evidence presented at a trial conducted in accordance with the requirements of due process, resulting in a sentence duly executed of capital punishment.
Okay, hold up. Wait. Hold on. Oh, I got to do this. You guys, I'm just like, I should have really prepared this a little bit better, but let's see. Definition of the word, oops, wait a minute. Listen, word kill. Here we go. Well, let's see. Oh my gosh. Merriam-Webster. That's where we go. Oh, hey, take a look at this. The first definition is to deprive of life, cause the death of. Oh, okay, maybe the second definition might apply. The second definition is to put an end to. Okay. The third definition is to mark for omission. Let's see. Then it goes third definition. We have three options here. We've got destroy the vital or essential quality of, to cause to stop, to check the flow of current through. Well, that would deal with electricity. To make a markedly favorable impression on. There it is. That's what he's doing. He wants to make a marketably favorable impression upon himself of Donald Trump. That's what he means. Yeah, anyway. These people. I just... Oh. Yeah. Yep. Anyway, I don't know. These people are they're just what I'm going to kill. So now that obviously that's as a verb, to kill something, which is to cause the death of a person, animal, or plant. Anyway, it all deals with the death. So I don't know, but Oh, Nana, who is from Ohio, she points out murder is the only capital punishment offense in Ohio. So how are you going to do that there, Mr. Moron? This guy, Mr. Moron. How are you going to do that? How are you going to get capital punishment? And he's running for the attorney general. You would think that he would know this already. Oh, what the hell? Yeah. Yeah, he's playing with fire. Oh, if they were smoking, I'd call them dopes. But, yeah, they're just complete, utter, stupid morons is what they are. Oh, my gosh. Anyway, let's continue something. All right. Moving a little bit out of that. Apparently, the Virginia Democrats have decided, because of all of the, quote, gerrymandering that has been happening in, Texas and California and so on and so forth, which, by the way, California, they upheld, at least the appeals court upheld the gerrymandering over there, is my understanding. So that map that, the ability for the legislature to go ahead and create a new map is still being upheld right now. It's not until what do you call it? I think the Supreme Court hasn't gotten it yet. Not the Supreme Court of the United States. I'm talking the Supreme Court of California. But anyway, Virginia decided that they were going to do something like this. And they essentially attempted to do something like a California deal. And what happened essentially was that the state Democrats passed some sort of a law. So apparently, according to the Constitution of Virginia, they have to, the process to get a constitutional amendment, which is basically what they're doing here, constitutional amendment to allow for mid-year gerrymandering, or mid-year redistricting is the correct terminology. They have to pass it through the General Assembly. So the General Assembly has to do it. Then within a certain amount of time, their state Senate has to do it. And then it can go to the polls for the people to sign. Well, Tazewell County Circuit Judge Jack Hurley ruled that the Democrat lawmakers unlawfully rushed this constitutional amendment proposal. So apparently Democrats' proposed map was planning on nuking up to 4 Republican-held seats and creating a potential congressional delegation that comprised of 10 Democrats and 1 single Republican. Now, under the Virginia Constitution, proposed amendments have to be passed by both chambers of the General Assembly in what's known as 2 consecutive legislative sessions. So should those two get approved, okay, if they should receive such approval, then the measures are then submitted to the voters for consideration, quote, not sooner than 90 days after the final passage of by the General Assembly. And they must receive majority support from the electorate in order to ratify it. Now, here's the problem. The General Assembly passed the proposed redistricting amendment back in October of 2025, and then again earlier in January, with the hopes of sending it to the voters for an approval in April in a special election. Now, that didn't get past the Republican plaintiffs, who basically argued that the General Assembly's October passage of the amendment was illegitimate because it occurred during early voting and therefore did not comport with Virginia Constitution's requirement that there be an intervening general election between the legislature's twice approval of the resolution. So the lawyer, Jason Mieres, wrote, under current Virginia law, the election process in Virginia, or the election voting process in Virginia, spans 45 days. The closing of the polls on November 4th, 2025, will be the culmination of an ongoing election process, which commenced in September 19th, 2025. Accordingly, because the general election of delegates is already underway, the November 4th culmination of this election cannot be deemed as the next general election. It is the current general election. So, yeah. And the judge, of course, agreed with those arguments. So, yeah. The judge wrote that there is no rational conclusion except that the election began on the first day of voting on September 19th and ended in November 4th. Therefore, the court finds that following the October 31st vote and passage of the joint resolution, there has not been an ensuing election of the House of Delegates, and such ensuing general election cannot occur until 2027. Thus, the action of the General Assembly during its regular session 2026 cannot meet the second passage required of under Article 12, Section 1 of the Virginia Constitution, which the second passage must occur before the same can be submitted to the voters of Virginia for adoption. So basically what this is saying in a little bit of legalese, just to kind of break it down for you, essentially what's happening here is there has to be 2 sessions with a general election in between, meaning that the makeup of one session would be ideally changed by the election, and so therefore you would essentially receive a larger representation of the people in the legislature. And again, keep in mind, it's both houses that have to pass it. So this is pretty complicated. So both houses have to pass it first. Then an election has to happen. Then both houses have to happen again, have to pass it again before it can be passed to the voters, apparently. So, yeah. Now, the judge also went on to determine that Democratic lawmakers additionally did not adhere to Virginia law when it came to properly giving adequate time for voters to weigh in on the amendment. He noted how the defendants concealed that the proposed amendment was not published by the clerk of the House delegates or posted at the front door of every courthouse not later than 3 months prior to the next ensuing general election for the House. The circuit judge noted that the sole purpose for such requirements is to provide voters with notice and information prior to the election of the House of Delegate members who would be elected to vote on the proposed constitutional amendment for the second vote as required by their state constitution. So there you go. Yeah. So finally, somebody in Virginia is like upholding the law here. So, anyway. And by the way, unfortunately, this ruling is only a circuit court order. It is only binding in Tazewell County. It's not statewide yet, but it does squarely declare the process unconstitutional, which is forcing an appeal and seriously clouds the amendment's path unless reversed or stayed. So, yeah. For now, apparently, the amendment is considered cooked. So at least Virginia is going to be, somewhat okay with what they've got going on. All right. Let's see. Well, something happened in Spain that the Democrats desperately want to have happen here. And this goes for all Democrats across the country because, of course, they know that all of these illegal aliens are for them, because as long as they keep voting for, hey, you know what? We're going to keep voting to keep you getting free stuff, which isn't free. It's taken from somebody else first, but they don't care. Anyway, Spain apparently has granted amnesty for 500,000 illegal aliens. And this decree was supposedly approved yesterday. The 500,000 illegals, okay, and this is Spain's left-wing government. So they're granting 500,000 illegal aliens. Well, they're illegal immigrants over there, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, speaking on public broadcasting, the migration minister said those covered by the measure would be able to work in any sector, any part of the country, stressed what she called the positive impact of migration. She added that the policy is about recognizing and dignifying people who are already living in Spain. Apparently, they don't really give a crap about whether or not these people are about ready to tear down their country, but whatever. So apparently the regularization, meaning the adoption or the amnesty, would apply to migrants who have lived in the country for as little as 5 months and who have applied for international protection before December 31st of 2025, as well as their children who were already in Spain. Applications are expected to open in April and run through the end of June. Yeah. So the leader of the Spain's populist anti-mass migration party, Abascal, reacted to the amnesty on X, saying 500,000 illegals, the tyrant hates the Spanish people. The tyrant Sanchez, meaning the migration officer, he wants to replace them. Or I don't know, Sanchez might be the president or whatever. Anyway, he goes, that's why he intends to promote the pull effect by decree to accelerate the invasion. We must stop him. Repatriations, deportations, and remigration. So the Spain government, or the Spanish government, plans to implement the measure by decree, bypassing their parliament, where the socialist-led governing coalition lacks a minority. Does any of that sound familiar? Yeah, they're trying to get it through without... You remember Biden and Obama, especially Obama? Well, I can rule the country with a phone and a pen. You remember that comment? Yeah, this is kind of what's happening over there. Socialism, Marxism, Leninism, what a bunch of crap. Anyway... So the Prime Minister Sanchez, that's who the guy's in charge, has argued multiple times that Spain needs mass migration to fill labor shortages. Oh, does that sound familiar? It's a common theme, apparently. And to offset pressures of an aging population. That sounds familiar, too. He warns that demographic decline could threaten pensions in the welfare state if left unaddressed. Yeah. Okay. Although it's debatable whether a typical migrant is a net contributor to the pensions and welfare systems. I guarantee you they are not. So, yeah. Anyway. Spain is in the same kind of position. All right. Well, at least Europe is learning what we pretty much already know. Anyway, all right, folks. Yeah, let's get on to some happier news. Even though this was pretty funny, I was laughing throughout the whole thing. All right, let's move on to some happier stuff here. And let's go ahead and get to tonight's Pet of the Week. All right, tonight's Pet of the Week is provided by Coco. That's right. Coco, the insert name here, has provided us with an update to her young little kitty. And I'm sorry, but this is gonna, I gotta get the right. Here we go. All right. Let's see. Here we go. And wait. Why are you not showing up now? What? Hold on just a second. I don't understand why that's not showing up. Oh. Hang on, folks. I'm gonna understand why this is not showing up. There we go. All right. That got her. Oh, you guys may remember Luna. Well, here's what Coco says about her. You all met Luna before, but she is so special to me and makes me giggle so much. I had to share some of her antics with all of you. From boxes and bags to sitting on cars and getting into high spaces, she is the weirdest and funniest, yet most loving cat I've ever had. And she loves her mommy the most. So here she is, apparently trying to hang on. She's trying to hang on in a, well, let's just call it a ladder situation. Actually, this is more of a step stool, but that's okay. Yeah. I'm, it's G caught it. Is this what she looks like after drinking that case of Bud Light Lime? It's behind her. Oh, yeah, I was that, G, you and I probably think a lot alike because I literally was thinking that when I first saw this photo. Especially because of the way that the cat is grabbing onto the top step. Anyway, all right, let's move on to another photo. Here she is climbing the screen. Oh my gosh. I am, Coco D insert name here says, that was a moving box from my books. Yeah, sure it was. Yeah. Ms. T, of course, points out, yeah, stick to that story. I agree. Stick to it. All right. Well, here's Luna climbing the screen in the window. Okay. I don't know. Is Luna like a Christmas ornament here or what's the deal? She obviously climbs the tree. I have to admit, thank God our cat doesn't climb the Christmas tree because otherwise that would have been a problem. We've had her for a couple of years and she has expressed no interest in climbing the tree. Thank goodness. She lays under it, but she doesn't climb it. So anyway. All right, let's go to the next one. Oh, there's Coco and Luna hanging out. Yeah. There we go. They're just hanging out. So that's... Oh. Now, wait a minute. Is she freaking sleeping? Oh, my gosh. Holy crap. That cat is fully asleep, leaning on what appears to be some sort of a handle or a piece of wood. Wow, that cat is completely asleep. I don't know. That's a little bit, to me, that would be a little bit uncomfortable. Honestly. Wow. Okay. Yeah. All right. Up. Yeah, that's nothing unusual. Up on the fridge. And, of course, staring down at you. Oh, yeah. There you go. I see you. Oh, I guess that piece of wood was a 2x4. Anyway. She's like, I am staring at you. See you from above. Oh, Ms. T pointed out this picture might just be the result of more Bud Light Lime. Oh, there's more of the Bud Light Lime. Yeah, we got to get a photo of that, man. Let's just tell you. That's cool. Anyway, let's go back. She's up on the counter. And here she is hanging out, looks like in a garage, on the truck. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, speaking about cats and cold, my wife, she had driven somewhere, and our outdoor cat, who sometimes is an indoor cat, he's mostly an outdoor cat. He's more kind of a barn cat. Apparently he was cold because I walked out there and she didn't have footprints on the hood of the truck, or sorry, the hood of the car. She didn't have footprints there when she got home. When I went out there to go do something, I noticed there were footprints all over the hood because he was apparently cold and wanted the heat of that. And of course, all cats, regardless of size, and I'm even talking about all the, even up to like tigers and stuff, they all go after bags and boxes. They love jumping in bags and boxes and stuff like that. So there she is, in the bags and boxes, or in the bags. And not exactly sure what this is, but this looks like this is like under a table, maybe a glass surface of some kind, and she's looking down at them at the photo. Oh, yeah. G points out that they will get in any container. Yeah, we call it "if I fits, I sits." They'll try and get in anytime. Yep, there it is. If I fits, I sits again. There she is in a box. So there you go. Oh, that was the sunroof of the car. So this picture is from the sunroof of the car. So she's actually on the top of the car. Anyway, there she is in the box again. And once again, she's got that look of climbing up the ladder and hanging on the top. So she apparently got into the Bud Light again. Oh, Luna, the Bud Light drinker. Anyway. All right. Yeah, she likes that ladder pose, I think. Anyway, all right, there you go. That is tonight's Pet of the Week. If you would like to have your Pet of the Week featured, thank you, Coco, for sharing, again, some updated photos of Luna. We'll have some updated photos of Baxter next week. But if you would like to have your Pet of the Week featured here on the program, all you need to do is send photos with some information, obviously, and go ahead and send it on to me. Send it to fans, FANS, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans at AmericanPerspective.online. And I will get you in on the next open slot available for Wednesday's Pet of the Week. It is a fan favorite, so you'll get international exposure of your pet, because I reach at least all the way to Australia. So there you go. All right, folks. We will see you tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. Have a great rest of the evening, and don't forget to hit those thumbs up, thumbs downs, or thumbs sideways if you're Chevy across all of my platforms, whether it's X, YouTube, Facebook, or of course the aforementioned Rumble. And if you go to rumble.com and sign up, once you are signed up and signed in, make sure that you search up the American Perspective channel and hit that green follow button to get notified every time that I go live. Once again, we'll see you tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. Have a great rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.